Attention Sleepless Knights. Thank you for consuming this OSI 74 product broadcast, live from the Black Knight satellite. For optimum performance and safety, your host, Mr. Lobo, asks that you please listen to these instructions carefully. When in a hospital or other healthcare facility, observe the restrictions on the use of electronic devices. Switch off before boarding an aircraft to prevent interference with communications systems. Do not operate this device in the presence of flammable gases or fumes, chemical plants, or where blasting operations are in progress. Always listen hands-free while driving a vehicle. Failure to observe these instructions may lead to immediate termination. It's time now for the show to begin. Thank you. Have a very pleasant evening.
You're not dreaming. You're listening to the Sleepless Knights podcast broadcast from the what? Let's try that one more time.
Where? What?
That's okay. It's early.
Early
for us anyway.
Early. It's the ass crack of... Oh, the time's not on that.
That's all right. You're not...
Ass crack of 2.
Yeah, I like to get up when the sun is warm around 2:33 in the afternoon. Drink my coffee. You're not dreaming. We are still... I don't know. I feel like we're just a wreck. I think that this podcast is just sort of covering.
Did you say a wreck or erect?
A wreck.
Oh, well, then we're only speaking about half of us.
Well, I'm glad you're feeling good, Paul. I'm glad you're happy to be here.
You said get up. I just...
Oh, no. But, we have been, ever since Camp Lobo and, the convention season starting, and we're filming things and like taking on side projects. It's like right now I'm animating the open for a feature film to make some money because nobody wants to pay for my stuff. That's not it. That's a passive. Was that a passive aggressive statement?
I don't know.
Can I rescind
I think that
that
was pretty aggressive. Can we petition to have that removed?
You know what? I have a lot of people who are very generous. Certainly our Patreon supporters are very generous.
You take it on. I'm going to clear
us.
out the aisle in front of us here.
You pick up all that garbage that's in between us. It's most of it is we're getting organized still, and
disorganized.
And I kind of feel like I'm still getting established here on the East Coast. When we started Cinema Insomnia, it was an ABC affiliate television station, and we had $4 million worth of equipment and a staff of people who were at our beck and call. And
now you got the best of what's left.
Which is Bestow. Which is Paul. No.
We needed the best of the best, but we got the best of what was left.
When we were put on hiatus that first year, obviously I could have just packed it up and said, all right, well, I don't want to do this anymore. But unfortunately, when you discover something that is, you're really connected to and is satisfying creatively, and you have more to do, more to say, you don't want to have to stop. And there was enough support to keep going. And as long as there's somebody out there who gives a damn, we'll keep doing it.
Don't stop believing. Stop until you hit the ceiling.
But with the
Isn't that how it
show,
goes?
There's been so many ups and downs. Like there have been feasts and famine. I feel like every 2.5 years, we got to reboot the show. But we've had big seasons where we had budgets, and we've had seasons where we're just doing it out of the back of a garage, and I
think we've got to step up then. The season's a step up.
Yeah, definitely.
We're in the driveway.
Yeah, we're out of the garage and in the driveway. And again, so many support over the years. People who have invested in this, people have given us their time and their talent. I mean, really, any person who's acted on the show, any person who has provided material for the show, any person who's written a joke for the show, any person who has delivered a movie for the show. I mean, all these people have invested in this endeavor of Cinema Insomnia, is what I'm talking about right now. So I don't want to come off as too bitter. We are a little tired. We are trying to get back to our fighting weight. We're trying to get astronaut tough so that we can, because I think the world of producing media is a lot more demanding than it used to be. More demanding on the individual.
More outlets.
There's more outlets, but one person is expected. I can't just walk in with some material and be funny. I've got to be a producer and a director sometimes, and doing my own graphics and creating my own effects and building my own costumes
and making a podcast
and keeping our followers involved and engaged. So social media. Everyone is wearing 20 hats to do stuff. It's much.
And I'm glad to wear these 20 hats because my hair's a mess. I haven't been to a barber in like eons.
Yeah, you really.
I took a look at myself. I took a look at myself without a hat on yesterday, and I looked like.
You need one more hat just to cover your face, and then you.
Everybody loves the beard.
It's not that no one hates the beard. It's just that I feel like sometimes the beard is going to start feeding you Skittles at a certain point.
I've been trying to teach it that way. Yeah, because I'm too lazy to feed myself Skittles. But if I can get my beard to do it. You'll have to ask one of my friends what tater beard means.
Tater beard? That sounds horrible. That sounds awful. That is terrible. I don't even want to know what tater beard
Well,
is.
since you asked.
No. Oh, God. All sorts of things happened in my head right just then. So we are still the Sleepless Knights of Insomnia, even though we botched the intro. Miss Mittens did not even bother to show up the past 2 episodes. This episode, last episode. We are kind of running off.
She was sleeping off that hangover.
Right now. Yeah, I mean, she's always burned out. She starts burned out, so there's no difference for her. But as far as we're concerned, it's always you get the wind under your sails and you get that energy and you do a bunch of work and then there's that crash. And I don't know about you, Paul, after a convention, I always have like the emotional crash, or after a big show.
It's that post-con depression, as everybody calls it, because
Yeah.
you just went from that high. Mine's a little bit delayed because usually I'm right into editing, so I'm instantly reliving everything that I shot. Mm-hmm. So mine hits around about Thursday when I'm done with the project and it's online. It's like, oh.
No.
But then like last night where I had the discovery where it's like, what was it, like April was like, there's 4 conventions in a row. All so it's like every weekend I'm going to be shooting, and then it was again in July, and it's like, I'm going to be dead by the end of this year.
Yeah. Oh,
and you're like, you don't have to go to all of them, but I'm like, these are all the tentpole events that I really need to go to. These are what the main videos are about. Like if these were kind of some of the like smaller
They're like
cons,
core shows that are really going to make the biggest impact for you.
Right. So I'm going to have to suck it up.
Oh, that's rough though, Paul.
But
I
it was
don't understand
odd
how you do all those shows.
It was odd where this year where it's like con after con after con, where it's like last year was like 2-3 cons just right on top of each other the exact same weekend. So, I mean, I guess I said, last night I said I preferred that because, then I only had to pick one con instead of, I got to go to all these.
Yeah, exactly. If you've got 3 events happening on the same weekend, it's much easier to say, hey, sorry, I can't do this. Well, at least in my case, whenever there's someone trying to book me, and I hate to say, I don't, I'd rather do this other show, but it is when there's 3 shows happening the same weekend, you can say, I'm already booked for this one. It's a lot easier than just saying I don't want to do your show.
Right. I mean, I tried it once. I went to one show that was out in State College, Sci-Fi Valley, and I did that on a Saturday, and then I decided that I was going to go to Atlantic City on Sunday and shoot anime next.
What?
And then going to that show on a Sunday. First of all, it's hard to do on Sunday to begin with because that's people are leaving. Not Atlanta, Atlantic City.
Atlantic City,
New Jersey.
What is that, like a 10-hour drive or something?
Yeah, I wish it became a 10-hour drive because that was the show where they decided that they were going to shut down the highway because they were going to have a marathon. And it took 3 hours to drive like a handful of miles to get into Atlantic City. And by the time I got there, it was pretty much done. So it was almost a fruitless effort.
I don't understand any kind of physical activity, and I certainly don't understand putting on a number and running down the street. I don't understand that at all.
You don't like running after people who've taken something from you, let alone
it's like,
for fun.
Let them have it.
That's all right. You know what? I can live without my kidney.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not obviously I don't have a lot of physical activity in my life. You can tell by looking at me that I don't have a lot of physical activity in my life. And that's something that I might have to change so that I can get my energy level up. When you get into your 40s, it's a little different than when you're in your 20s or 30s. It's like you've got that energy.
You can do it.
And then you've got that kind of, I don't know, crazy, like, I used to kind of get, I don't know if it was just ADD or, I don't know what was powering it, but when you're young.
Maybe it was SUBTRACT.
What does that mean?
Subtract.
Oh. ADD, subtract. Oh, that's dumb, Paul. Anyway, but when you're younger, it's like there's no thoughts of,
repercussion.
Am I doing is this the right thing to do? Am I wasting my time? You just go, and you have that kind of brainless confidence behind everything, and not that I've lost my confidence, but it's definitely hard for me to do like these crazy jags of working day in, day out, nonstop, go till 4 a.m, get up at the crack of dawn, go. I just don't have that energy anymore. But we had a lot to talk about last time about conventions. The last episode was the Wrath of Khan.
Yeah, I think we should do a recon.
I like that recon. So I think we've got a lot more to say about conventions, and since.
Yeah, I have a big note here for Neil Adams because we had mentioned in there that we were going to talk about Neil Adams, and then we just flat out ran out of time.
Yeah,
and it's a shared story.
I thought we had a whole other segment that didn't happen. That's how tired we were. And I
could have made that subtract joke last night. I would have been like SZQ.
What is spelling?
What's that mean?
Is math going to be next? So when we come back, we're going to tell a few more convention stories. I'd like to talk more about the Cinema Insomnia season, but unfortunately, some of it I don't want to give away. But at this point, you might already know, or there've been other information that by the time this podcast
or
out.
If the apocalypse happened and you're listening to this,
right?
Find shelter. Aim for the brain pan.
Aim for the brain pan?
The frying pan.
The hard
the dead pan.
Mm-hmm.
And
the
pull twice. Pull twice.
Aim for the muffin pan.
Pull twice.
Flush once.
Yeah. Flush once.
Look twice.
Look both ways when crossing the street. And
measure 10 times.
And cut
once.
Thrice.
Cut thrice?
I guess. I don't know.
All right. Well, we're going to take a break. Yeah, you're going to want to hear a lot more of this garbage, right? Take a break.
Good start.
Gather yourself and come back and enjoy some stories, secret stories from the dark underbelly of
the seedy convention scene. Hey, Mr. Lobo.
Paul, what's up?
I have a question here about this memo that I got from you. It says that Bestow TV now needs a commercial?
Oh, whoever wrote that should get fired, I think.
I'm not quite sure what to put into said commercial.
For Bestow TV, I mean, you just talk about your channel.
Like creative continuity and its sister show, bonus content?
Right, all the convention culture and the interviews with celebrities and all that stuff, sure.
Well, I guess I could also mention the cosplay montages, costumes.
Costumes, right. Astonishing cosplay montage set to an epic soundtrack.
I guess there's Convention Rewind, too.
Those are great. We've run those on OSI 74.
So I guess that's all I need, so I guess I'll have...
Are you sure? Because I think there's one other show that you produced for a Bestow.
I don't know what you're talking about.
With Mr. Lobo.
Yeah,
that we do together, the thing that we do. Remember all those videos we did?
Oh, like Mr. Lobo does.
Yes, Mr. Lobo does, of course.
That's awesome. I'm going to get right on this. I'm going to write up the script.
Hey, wait, Paul. You forgot to tell them to go to bestow.tv or youtube.com/bestowtv. Idiot. And we're back. That coffee did not help. I'll tell you that. You don't drink coffee, do you, Paul? No, nothing. You don't drink hot liquids, really, right?
Not usually.
You don't do tea, or
I don't do tea. I don't like the taste of tea. I don't like the taste of coffee. I've tried coffee for a while.
Yeah.
I tried to make it a thing. I'm like, I'll just force this down my throat. Maybe I'll like it because of
you're a Mountain Dew man.
I actually didn't like Mountain Dew for the longest time. I
Yeah.
never really got into it. And then it's like when I became diabetic and there was limited of what you could drink, it's like, well, I can drink Diet Dew, and
Yeah,
it's something different than Diet Pepsi.
Yeah, Dr Pepper's probably my favorite of the diet beverages. Diet Mountain Dew is actually like better than regular Mountain Dew.
Diet Mountain Peak.
The generic
ones.
Yeah, I always like how they always have like
Mr. Pepper, Mr. Pibb.
Mountain Mist, or Dr. Slice, whatever. They just have all these funny, all the generic versions or all the house brand or the.
We need to draw what the mascots of the knockoffs would look like.
I'd like to do that. I always thought it would be fun, like for a movie or something, where you create a whole branding for an off-brand, and then you approach whoever the company is, like if it is Walmart or whoever, and say, look, we created this awesome branding for this beverage. Why don't you put our character on the box
and then
everything?
Pay us?
They could pay us, but it would be good promotion. Promote my movie. Just pay me. All right. But then it's like you've got a movie with like a fake drink in it, but then that fake drink is
a reality.
Is a real drink.
Get on that, Walmart.
Yeah, get on it. I know that like with Idiocracy, they had the drink Brondo in that, and I know that the reverse of that, where someone wanted to actually manufacture Brondo, and they did an energy drink, and they copied the artwork from the movie.
Well, what's the beer from Simpsons?
Duff.
And they made that. They made a short run.
They made a short run of Duff.
Yeah.
Who made it? Was it Budweiser?
No, I think it came out. I think it was imported out of Australia.
Oh, okay.
I think they made it in Australia, where
That's
the
neat.
copyrights are probably not as strict.
Oh, maybe. Duff beer. I always thought it would be. Did they make a Pepsi Perfect from Back to the Future too?
Yeah, it was a limited release. I remember they were giveaways at Comic-Con, and then people could turn around and sell them for
Like
a lot.
Upside down bottle, sort of, with the bottom of the bottle is the top, right? And you unscrew it. I thought all of that. I always think it's neat when they have like products and things from movies, because then you feel like you're participating in it. It's like I'm that thing that's only in this fantasy thing is in my world now, so I can kind of play along.
Oh, we just still need the Tobit Spirit Guide, and we need the Almanac.
I think we need Stay Puft Marshmallows. Why wouldn't? I mean, doesn't that seem like a gimme that like Kraft or somebody said, "Hey, you got this 50-foot marshmallow"?
Well,
guy.
they probably designed it and gave it to Walmart and said, "Hey, you don't have to pay us and put this out." And Walmart said, "No, go piss up a rope."
Yeah.
That's why we don't have.
That's too bad. Damn you, Walmart. We could have had great value Stay Puft Marshmallow, man. I feel like why not? Now, did the Ghostbusters cereal have marshmallows?
Yes.
I remember it had little. That's right, marshmallow ghosts.
The ghosts were marshmallows,
and then they had little kind of
circles with the slants.
fruity negate symbols.
Yeah.
Right. No signs.
And there was a third item too, I think, if I recall, but I can't remember right now.
I think they just had two different color negate signs, and then the marshmallow ghost.
Maybe it was later on whether it was a Slimer. Maybe it was a Slimer.
You
ghost
think they added a
addition.
Slimer?
Maybe
A little green marshmallow. That's possible. I love that cereal.
one day I just sneezed really hard. And
that was not a marshmallow. It was not a
that's-
Slimer marshmallow. That was just a boogie that got loose.
Yeah, it didn't taste like
Nose
a lime, I'll tell you
goblin.
right now.
What I want to know is with Slimer, right? They had
the cute
the
sidekick that all
ecto
cartoons
cooler.
have.
I mean, you're asking children to know what ectoplasm is. I always thought that was a harder sell. That why not call it like lemon slime, or it's like lemon lime, lemon slime. You know what I mean? Why make it something that is like every child doesn't understand what it is?
It's green slimy stuff that we just shoved off this ghost's ass. Enjoy.
Maybe people didn't want to think about slime, but I feel like that's the obvious, especially when there's a fruit that sounds like lime. I mean, there's a fruit that sounds like slime.
Maybe they
that
didn't want to
rhymes
go
with
the
slime.
whole the association with we're producing edible slime product.
I guess, or maybe they were worried
Mainstream.
about Mattel or somebody, because I think Mattel may have
the-
owned the trademark on the slime toy maybe at that time. I don't know, but I feel like ectoplasm. I don't know. I always thought that was a funny. even if it was called Slimer Juice, because I think when Dixie was a
So
kid,
gross.
I know, but even when Dixie was a kid, she called it Slimer Juice.
Right.
So I feel like kids would have gone. Kids like gross stuff anyway. They would have gone for it.
Here you go, honey. Have some Slimer spooge. Here's.
Slimer,
do you want it in the box or do you want it in the? you want it in a
man.
cup?
Oh boy, that's disgusting. From the makers of, whatever, Aliens Jizz. It's Slimer Splooge.
Slimer spooge. Find it on your groceries yourself.
I feel like with all the rubber monsters in the 80s covered in KY jelly, they just should have had a special brand of KY jelly
That doesn't
tied
ruin your
in.
rubber?
Oh, Paul.
What? What did I say?
Yes, you're right. With all the rubber monsters. They could have had Ghoulies KY jelly.
Ask Tom Savini if he knows.
Oh my God. Alien Queen KY jelly. Or Gremlins, right? I'm trying to, almost all of those guys. I think that was like the go-to. Like in the 50s, it was like more smoke, hide the monster. In the 80s, it was like more slime, more.
Make it
Bring
gross.
that KY in here, beep, beep,
Make it look like that alien just sneezed. There we go.
And like every monster in a alien, or every alien in like an 80s movie makes that weird pig squeal, like every creature made that
Now,
noise.
was that an alien or was that a dinosaur? Was that not Jurassic Park?
I can't make that noise. Can you? The squeal noise?
Probably not right now.
Just too tired. But you guys know about it. It's basically they take a pig squeal, and like every freaking alien in an 80s movie makes that same noise. And they went well into the 90s too. That was like the sound design version of the city from Blade Runner. It was like every city in every sci-fi movie was the Blade Runner city. And then every post-apocalyptic movie wanted to look like Road Warrior. And then every creature made that weird pig squeal noise.
Like the Wilhelm scream. Every movie has to have at least one Wilhelm scream.
Or whatever. I can't. How does that? Yeah, that's right. Wilhelm scream. That's some nerdy film buff stuff. But now I think more people know about the Wilhelm scream. But it was originally
where everybody knows about behind the scenes now. So.
I think it was Westerns, right? They came from
Yes.
Western. The guy fell off a horse.
And the guy, I think the guy's name is Wilhelm. Either the guy's name was Wilhelm or his character's name was Wilhelm. That's why it's called the Wilhelm scream.
And then they would have that sound. And then the other thing too is that they used to.
And I think it was put in. It was the first movie was put in. It was just as a joke. They just had these files and they had that scream and they just put it in as a joke and it just became this running Easter egg.
Most of the Indiana Jones movies seem to have and then Star Wars. I think Ben Burt did the sound design for all those movies, so he probably proliferated that joke with all the films that he did sound design for. But yeah, the Wilhelm scream, and we've even had it on Cinema Insomnia too. It's just a insider.
I smell a copyright strike.
thing.
We should put it in an episode just to see if we get nailed for it.
That wasn't the Wilhelm scream. That was almost like that weird, like on the Disney sound effects record. That stupid like. Anyway, so if you guys could record yourself doing the Wilhelm scream, send it in. So because obviously we don't know how to make a pig noise or Wilhelm scream, but we can talk about it. So coming back to what we were saying before, convention stuff. I guess we're talking nerdy, so we might as well go all the way and talk.
How about we go with glitches with these bitches?
Glitches with these bitches?
Yeah. Yeah, you remember trying to interview the
Doctor
Who personality?
Doctor Who, Colin Baker.
Thank you very much.
Colin Baker, who was the Doctor Who. He was the Doctor Who after Peter Davidson. Peter Davidson had a difficult job because he had to follow Tom Baker, who is one of the most popular Doctor Who's. Colin Baker didn't have as hard of a job because he had to follow Peter Davidson. But because he was Colin Baker, I think a lot of people tried to compare him or contrast him with Tom Baker also. He had a Technicolor Dreamcoat. Literally.
And what did he say to you? What was so great about that coat?
Is that he didn't have to look at it because he was wearing it.
He's like, everybody had to look at me. I from the inside out, I never have to look at it. He said something about, he's like, I always viewed this about the same about the house. You can paint your house an obnoxious color. You're the one on the inside looking out. You're not the one that has to look at it every day.
Exactly. But he had kind of a perm, and he had like this coat that was a million colors, and a big long frock coat that was all patchwork, all different colored material.
What the frock?
And so he was not my favorite doctor, I'll be honest, but it was cool to see him in the flesh at this show. Quite a delight and a surprise to see him in person. And what a funny gentleman, man. That guy was funny. He was on, and he was ripping us to shreds because we were screwing up all over the place.
One problem after another.
We tried to set up a microphone with him.
Didn't we forget a mic?
Yeah.
Because there was a point where I watch the camera, I got to go get the mic. And then I come back and they tell me this story, this horror story where I'm like, what the?
I'm talking to Colin Baker, and Colin Baker, I guess, must have cat-like reflexes because he suddenly becomes aware that the camera is not mounted on the tripod very well and is literally slipping backward and falling off. And so I leap over the table. He points this out, and I leap over the table and stop the camera from hitting the ground. And he was just. It's like, oh yeah, you guys are real professional. I mean, he was like,
he was really turning the screws
oh,
on us
yeah,
the rest of the interview because we forgot cables, but on top of that, the camera card was damaged.
Yes,
so we would do like a 5-second click, and I'd have to cut you guys.
We had to restart the interview like 10 times, and that guy had the patience of a saint.
Yeah,
but at the same time, he was letting us have it, man.
Yeah.
He I wish I could remember all his clever quips.
Oh, we had jokes. We had jokes about like. Have you ever dealt with this with the BBC? Like, no. Those guys are professionals. You guys suck.
Oh, the BBC? No, they never make mistakes.
He had some good stories about the BBC about how they would fuck up.
Oh yeah. No, definitely. No, that's what I mean. He was being facetious.
Yeah.
But it was a nightmare for us.
Yeah.
He was, I think, laughing to himself, but it's upsetting when, you try to show up and be professional and you've got a plan and you think you've got it all together and then it just all falls apart.
And the thing that sucks is he was the first interview of the day. So I already knew that there was, you already have to work the bugs out. What equipment did I forget? What did I leave in the car? Or, did I do something wrong or whatever? But then to have a camera card glitch up on you right out of the gate is like.
If I were to do it all over again, I would have interviewed someone I didn't have any interest in at all.
That's true.
For our
and then
first
we could
interview. Then I wouldn't have felt so bad about all the mistakes that we
ultimately
made.
I had to leave my camera behind and run to here. Enjoy the con. I'm going to go run to Target and buy another card. That seemed to fix our problems.
It did seem to fix the problem, and we're going to have to take a short break right now. And I think I'm going to get some more coffee. Why don't you delight yourself with a treat while we are away, and we will be back.
Watch some Colin Baker Doctor Who.
Why not?
Really quick though, because we'll be back.
Well, I guess it's time travel. They can watch the whole thing and then go back in time and be here in time for the rest of it.
All right, we'll come back in time.
All right.
Back in time. Back in time.
Get back.
Whatever Telly wants,
I think we all have a button deep down inside us.
Telly gets.
And it opens all the doors, letting out passions locked up deep inside us.
One way
And I can push it
or another.
and do things to you.
And what Telly Savalas does to Peter Fonda, Hugh O'Brien, and O.J. Simpson is murder.
Telly Savalas is the killer force, a man who loves his work and does it well.
Finish the job.
Telly Savalas, Peter Fonda, Hugh O'Brien, O.J. Simpson, and Maude Adams. Killer Force, the ultimate motion picture adventure. Killer Force, rated R, under 17, not admitted without parent.
Broadcasting live from the Black Knight satellite. Here we are at the OSI headquarters.
You know, that's one of the things that drives up our expenses is just trying to get on the shuttle to get up here all the time.
Well, sometimes we beam it to the satellite.
Space fuel is not that cheap.
We do. Sometimes we just rent that giant dish and beam it up to the satellite, and then it comes down to.
Oh, we beam
else.
the signal. I thought we were beaming ourselves. Like
we could beam me up, Scotty. Now is that one of those things where he never says "beam me up, Scotty"? That's like a play.
I think it's always just
to beam up,
just beam up or whatever.
Beam up, ready to beam
and
up.
Just people just associate it always being Scotty because he was always in there.
Beam me up, Scotty. Yeah. Play it again, Sam is I guess one of those things where he doesn't really say it.
Luke, I'm your father is another one.
Right, where it's no, I'm your father. Mm-hmm. Right. And then the other, and then I guess Carl Sagan said he never said billions and billions. He said it would be redundant to say billions and billions. He does now because he's dead now. He doesn't say anything. Yeah, but toward the end, yes, that was a good impression.
Thank you.
And he would billions and billions of stars. And he said it toward the end of his career because he was known for it. Mm-hmm. But he didn't initially say it. That's something that the fans think of.
Changed it.
One of the things we didn't talk about. It is interesting how fan perception is everything. It's who you are. The fans do literally make you, and it is funny when you have these people at conventions who are cranky or have a really bad attitude. Because it's like you can harass the fans all you want.
Nice segue.
Thank you. You can harass the fans all you want, but at the end of the day, you wouldn't be there if it wasn't for them. If they didn't want to see you, you wouldn't be there. And we've dealt with some cranky customers over the years. As a kid, I loved the Incredible Hulk. Loved the Incredible
Now,
Hulk.
are you going to say his name, or do we have to bleep it out?
I'll say it, and then I guess if you get cold feet.
I mean, you already said Incredible Hulk, so I think people can pretty much figure out
but
what you're talking
Lou
about.
Ferrigno was my hero in the 70s. I remember watching the Mr. Rogers episode where they showed how they did the makeup, and I was fascinated by it. And my mom bought 16 jars of green eyeshadow and covered me from head to toe with green eyeshadow, so I could be the Hulk for I think it was a first grade Halloween costume contest, and I won a $2 Baskin Robbins gift card or something. It's like my mom must have spent like $80 on green eyeshadow so I could win a $2 ice cream gift card. I read the Hulk comics. I had the Hulk Power record where it's the Hulk versus the Abomination, and it was like Hulk.
Hulk Hogan?
No, not that Hulk.
Oh.
I really, really admired Lou Ferrigno. And when I started doing conventions as a special guest, I got a table. They set me up right next to Lou Ferrigno. So there's my table, and right next to me, my hero from the 70s, Mr. Hulk himself, Lou Ferrigno. And I was going, I can't wait to tell him about, my eyeshadow story and all this stuff. And I wore my torn, ripped clothes and, all my Hulk stuff, I learned, I think when I learned to play piano in school, I tried to play the end theme from the Hulk. And then he was so bad to his fans, literally making some of them cry because he was so mean. What, are you going to pay me or what? Where's your money? Okay. And then some guy took a picture of him and he chased him down and made them erase the picture because he didn't pay for the picture. And then he destroyed all of his posters of himself so that when he left his table so that no one else would take them. He'd rather destroy them than to leave them behind and have somebody take them. So it's so by the end of it, I didn't even want to talk to him. I mean, he was nice to us all day. He was nice to Dixie and I, and he was like, hey, could you watch my table so I could go to the restroom or whatever? It's like we watched his table, whatever, but in the back of my mind, I'm going, if you're such a great actor and you're above this, why don't you act like you want to be here and be good to your fans?
Yeah, I mean, I've only ever had two major. He's been on Creative Continuity. We did an interview with him, but he was pretty much stern with us. He wasn't. I didn't really feel like he was being unfair or anything. He's just like, I've got to tend my table. I'll give you this amount of time, and when I'm done, and that was it. So and we just played it off of him. We just looked to see when he felt that he was done, and then like in between questions, all right, last question or one more question or whatever. So that's fair. I view that as being fair. And the other interaction was that I was with a cosplay group, and the Avengers had just come out. Yeah. And they were all dressed as the Avenger, and they went to his table and everything. And again, this is a fair statement too, where they want, and generally cosplayers will go up to the celebrities and they want to do like a quick picture or whatever. Yeah. And a lot of celebrities will just sure, and they do something quick. And they brought me along to take a good picture with my nice camera and stuff. And he's like, what? Let me see your badge. And when I held it up and he saw it was pressed, he's like, oh, okay, never mind. So I think that he felt like if I wasn't pressed, that that if I was just a person that was walking by, because I kept saying I'm with them. Yeah. And so to know that I wasn't just a person walking by just taking random shots.
What, you're not pressed? $40.
Yeah,
$80.
Oh, I've had that happen too at a convention. I won't drop names, but we did interviews, and he was a part of one of the music videos and stuff. And then I bought a piece of, I picked up a piece, or no, sorry. I bought merchandise off of him and I paid for that. That wasn't the bit. The bit was that we did quick selfies with him. Mm-hmm. And my daughter was with me, and then she got pictures with him and everything. And, we're standing there, we're getting a picture taken. First it was going to be her, just the two of them. And then they asked me to step in as well. And as I'm standing, and right before right during they're taking the picture, he leans in and I can feel him like right next to my ear. That will be $40. And it's like, we just did all this stuff with you, and you're going to take me for $40? I wouldn't even taken the picture.
Wow, that's something.
I mean, I guess it's fair is fair. That's what you're there for and stuff like that. But again, I wouldn't have dropped $40 on it anyway.
No.
I'm on a budget.
I have a hard time charging people for stuff, and it has nothing to do with my level of celebrity. Like, I feel like, I guess sometimes you have to charge money just as a crowd control measure, because there's so many people who want to take your picture. So many people want your autograph that just to keep it under control, you have to create some barrier to entry.
Right. Well, that's like Mark McKenna. He doesn't charge for autographs on his books and stuff like that. And it got to a point where people are wheeling in these boxes holding 150, 300 books and stuff like that. And I think it got to the point where it's like, all right, the first book is free. Anything over was X amount. Yeah. Again, it's a very fair deal.
I think that's fair. If you put something in front of me, like, and this happens all the time, like a program or, a TV guide ad from the show or something, I will sign it. I won't ask for money for that. If you want a photo from my table, I will sell you the photo and then sign it. But the way I look at it is, I'm not selling my autograph. I'm selling the photograph.
You're selling the photograph, and the autograph comes for free.
For free. And and I've had several people like give me gruff, like, you charge for your autograph, and it's like,
no,
I don't. I charge for the photograph.
You buy the DVD, same deal. You buy a DVD, you get the autograph for free.
And you know what? If you have a picture of me somehow that you took covertly, I won't ask any questions. I'll sign it.
Why am I standing in front of the urinal in this picture? All right, whatever.
All right.
The other thing was like Dan Jurgens was the same way too, where it's like he generally doesn't charge. And then he had to change his thing where he had to charge. And the story that he told us without the cameras running is that he would have people roll up, and they would come up with like maybe 50 Death of Superman issues.
Oh God! And
he's like, if you're getting 50 Death of Superman issues autographed, this isn't for you.
Yeah.
He's like, you're selling these.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's not fair. He's like, I'm giving you this for free, and then you're going to turn around and you're going to sell it and stuff like that.
Yeah, that is
and again,
not fair.
It has to be fair to to him.
And I think you have to kind of look at it on a case by case basis, Yeah, but it is tough, tough call on some of those things. I actually have signed pictures of things that weren't even me. When Mark Hamill came to WonderCon, he was charging $100 for an autograph.
Oh. That was cheap at that time.
Yeah, I know.
He's like 300 now.
But at that time, that was outrageous. That was like the first time that had ever happened, where it was like that kind of money for an autograph. And it was the talk of the con. Everybody was like, Mark Hamill's charging $100 for his autograph. Can you believe it? So there were a lot of people who were bringing me photos of Mark Hamill to sign.
As Mark Hamill?
No, I signed him as Mr. Lobo. So it was all these clever quips. You can't force me to pay $100 for an autograph. Your friend, Mr. Lobo. So yeah, it was funny. But I'd actually ended up at that con. I had signed several photos of Mark Hamill as Mr. Lobo, which is really funny. So
a funny collector for them.
So what about Neil Adams? Are we going to tell that story?
Well, I have one more, and then we'll talk about Neil Adams when we come from the break. But I have a person here that it specifically says do not say name, so I will omit their name. I will omit their work.
Omit it.
But we want to interview them, and this also ties back to the glitches bit from earlier, which Neil Adams also has a glitch too. So we want to interview this person, and they go, "Well, I'll do an interview. You got to come back later when there's nobody here, because I'm here for the fans. You gotta respect the fans." And I did a shitty thing where I look left. And I look right, and there's nobody around. And I look back at him, and I go, "How about now?" And he looks left, and he looks right, and he goes, "All right." So we took some time to set up and everything, and while we were setting up, they were chit and chatting, and it was just the person was being really shitty about the fans. They don't like Comic-Con. They don't really like interacting with the fans. They don't really, their works have been made into film and TV projects and other multimedia, and he didn't really seem to appreciate that, and that was a derivative of his work, and people like that work, and they're like, it's my work or nothing. He doesn't like that the people like the derivative of the work. He doesn't like the people always asking him, well, what about if they make this sequel or that sequel, or if they spin it off to this and stuff, and it's like, it's just his work and nothing else, and it was just kind of a deflating thing, because the guy was high on my list, and then to kind of hear him kind of like I don't really care for this, and I'm like, well, if you don't really care for this, I guess you're there because you're your publisher or whatever. It's like,
yeah, I don't get it. I really don't, because I guess some people just don't like to I guess socially, sometimes people just don't like to be with crowds or don't like to be in a place. And it's a little more understandable maybe with an artist or a writer, because that's sort of a solitary job, and sort of a job where, you're maybe not interacting with a lot of people. But I feel like, especially with actors, especially when that's your job to act, it's like, then act like you want to be here. Act like this person's your friend and sell them some photographs.
Right.
Why do you have to be hostile with these people who love you and made you who you are, made you a household name? It's like, they've got the dynamic turned around. It's like, okay, they're not here for you. You're here for them. They've got it mixed up. They think that, that you're doing them a favor.
Right.
Or they think they're doing you a favor by being there, but they're really they're in the good graces of the fans.
And the glitchy part of it was that I have a tendency, and I don't know if this happens with all cameramen or camera people, camera persons, camera things.
Camera operators,
I guess, but where I have a tendency where it's like I'm lining up a shot or whatever, and I hit the record button.
Yeah.
And then I go and I focus or whatever, and I pull it back, and then I hit the record button again, and I say, and action. And essentially what I did was I rolled during the time I was doing the focus, and I've turned it off during the actual interview.
Yeah.
And this happened with this particular person, so we missed like the whole introduction because I was halfway through it, and I wasn't going. I knew he was a little bit, negative, so I didn't want to stop the interview and go back and redo the beginning. I kind of did it on the sly. We kind of did stuff on the end. It was like, oh, can you redo this intro or whatever? Yeah. But it's like I didn't even notice until the camera just shuts off, and I'm like, and then I realized, looking back at the footage, it's like I hadn't been recording. So,
oh god.
And that's happened, and I hate it when it happens when you're with like celebrities, because it's like you're not going to get this again. You're not going to get this opportunity again.
The fine family-run space for oddities, collectibles, retro kitsch, antiques.
Don't you mean eclectic crap?
We like to say one-of-a-kind items, Paul. Area 707. That's Area 707, located inside Cackleberry Antique Mall in Paradise, Pennsylvania. Please visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/Area707PA. That's facebook.com/area707PA. Come see us. There's Cinema Insomnia merchandise there too, and
Eclectic Crap.
that's right, at Area 707. You had tried to get an interview with Neil Adams, who had mentioned in the last show had done. He had basically done a more serious version of Batman in the comics after the success of the 66 Batman. He kind of took Batman back to the Dark Knight Batman. And then he also created the John Stewart Green Lantern.
Correct.
Which was very groundbreaking at the time because most black characters in comics were pimps and gang
drug
members
dealers,
and drug dealers, and this guy was
a Marine
and like super smart and all that. And then there was and then he worked on the X-Men with Chris Claremont, which was kind of like the rebirth of X-Men. X-Men was kind of in the dumper, it was kind of like a who cares kind of title, and went on its path to being, their strongest title in the 80s. So it was very exciting for creative continuity to interview him. And this is before my time, right?
Right.
And he just kind of like read you guys the riot act.
This
right?
is when, and it was funny because I warned you about it.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, it's like, Harold and I tried to interview Neil Adams. Neil Adams has been on that get list for a long, long time, and we had tried to get him prior, and there was a mess up at the show that we were supposed to go to, where it was one of those shows where you have to provide the list of everybody that you want, and they'll schedule time for you or whatever. And I had given them my list. I'm like, this is the list. Harold can only show up on Saturday. Can this happen? Is this going to happen? Oh, sure, no problem, whatever. They say, and we get there, and I go back and I get my credentials and everything, and I said, okay, well, I need my hours. What time can I show up at these booths and everything? And they're like, oh no, it's Saturday. We don't do interviews on Saturday. And it's like, you couldn't tell me that a little bit sooner. Maybe I could have made something happen where Harold could come on a Sunday or whatever. And we kind of had the FU scenario because it's like, it was a wash for Harold. Harold couldn't do anything that day. I had all my extra equipment to do, so it's like now I'm walking around with all this extra crap to have to walk around and not do any interviews. So we were gonna be like, like a lot of the other conventions, it's you can walk up to the celebrities and it's their choice. And we're like, let's just do this like any other convention. We'll just go up there, and if they say no, we'll move on. And we had gone up to several. We tried it over and over. We went from one table to another, and it was just the same thing. It was like, oh well, this press guy has to be there. You have to be scheduled Saturdays, and absolutely no, a hard no, over and over and over, right down the line. So then we said, well, maybe let's go down Artist Alley and stuff like that, because Artist Alley is a little bit different than the celebrities themselves. And we knew Neil Adams was there, so it was like, well, let's try Neil Adams, and we'll try to see what we can do with these guys. Maybe we can do something there. And Neil Adams, like you said, read us the riot act where this is Saturday, this is the money making day, Friday's the day you're supposed to get. He was just basically he was yelling. I mean, he was on the top of his lungs yelling at us. And you can't do this because of all these people that are here. And again, it's the same deal with the other guy where it's like, look left, look right. There's nobody here. It's like, this time that you yelled at me, I could have already done that interview and been out of your hair. But it's like, be respectful. It's like, thank you. I understand. I'll run into you a million other times in a million other places. I will have this opportunity again. So it's not a big issue. So we flash forward to Baltimore Comic-Con last year, and I'm like, Neil Adams is on here. Neil Adams has been on my get list for a really long time. But with you, I scheduled you to come Friday and Sunday. We did actually, I think we did Friday, and then Sunday was kind of up in the air, and then eventually you're like, yeah, let's go, let's do it. And I'm like,
we got a lot of good material at that show.
And I was like, well, here's a warning. Here's what's going to happen. He's gonna if we approach him on Saturday, he's gonna yell at us and he's gonna tell us, what for and everything. So I was like, we have to approach him on a Friday. We have to approach him early in the day, like not too late. And I think something happened. We got waylaid with a lot of different things. You weren't exactly feeling in the groove just yet, so we had gone and did other interviews so that you could get all warmed up before you get to Neil Adams. And we got to Neil Adams, and we got the speech.
Oh, yeah.
We got yelled at.
Yeah.
And this was on a Friday. It was later on on Friday, but we got the speech of
He basically said, "Come early on Sunday before they open."
right. Yeah, because he even pointed at us. He said, "You guys got press passes, so you can come in before the doors open." Which I'm not sure because didn't we try to do that at Baltimore and they just wouldn't let us in anyway?
Well, they had the fire. Someone
yeah.
pulled the fire alarm.
Yeah.
So we couldn't get in early anyway.
Right.
We would have gotten in there before.
Spoilers.
Sorry, Paul.
No, that's all right.
We would have gotten in there before doors open.
No, but I think even with the fire, they were letting only select people in,
Yeah.
and we tried to get in because some of the press people were going in, and we were like in the hall, and they're, oh no, nobody at all, and they pushed us back out. But I don't think it depends. Some of the shows, it doesn't. Even if you're press, you still can't get into the floor early.
Yeah.
It depends. I mean, I guess I'd have to go through the liaison or something and try to work it out. So, so we got the riot act on Friday. We tried to get there Sunday, and we got delayed traffic wise and otherwise. So we didn't get there as early as we wanted to. And I was kind of a little bit stressing out. Where it's like, we may not get this interview. He may just tell us to go.
Yeah.
Piss up a rope.
And when we did get there, everyone was standing out in the street.
Yeah. Well, I was like, I was like, he's going to tell us to piss up a rope, and I'm like, if he tells us to piss up a rope, I'm like, I'm done. I'm not going to try again for another interview. I'm just going to be. It's all right. I'm going to move on. And when we got there and we saw everybody standing outside, we saw the fire trucks, and it's like, oh, we got a good excuse now. Yeah. And we used the fire as the excuse, and he still didn't want to hear anything of it. It's like, no, I told you to be here early, and you had to be here, and I'm like, but there was a fire.
Yeah,
but still,
yeah,
no, but there's a fire.
Yeah, yeah. There weren't if we had shown up early, we wouldn't have gotten in that building.
No, there was no way.
Everyone had been standing out there for an hour. So anyway, we finally got in. And they let the press in last somehow.
Right. Well, which is weird because they kept saying the press goes in first. The lady in front of us said press gets to go in before general public.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, we tried to get in and then we got turned away and then the press got in last.
I think whoever was the PR for the convention went, we don't want people taking pictures of an empty convention.
Right.
We want people taking pictures of a full convention.
Right.
So they let all the people in first and then the press people.
Right. Yeah. Even though probably journalists would still write about it. Oh, this place was empty.
There was a fire. So we finally get to talk to Neil Adams, and man, what a cantankerous.
I warned you how hard of nails this guy was.
He was like Archie Bunker.
This guy wanted, to tie back to the glitch bit, was he wanted set up. He's like, you got it now. As soon as people come, you got to stop. Now, quick. And I don't like working that way because that's how mistakes are made.
Yeah.
And my stuff was still in my bag and everything. He's our first interview, so I had to set everything up and try to be as fast. I think there was at one point in time where I did have to ask you to backtrack because there was no audio running at one point in time, and I'm like, we gotta redo that intro, and he was just kind of getting a little, why do we have to do that again? Or
Yeah.
And then the ultimate glitch at the end was that the camera function was switched over, and for whatever reason, it wasn't recording at 1080p at 24 frames. It was running at 60 frames at 780. So it's a smaller
image. Interesting,
so,
but more frames.
So it'll look nice and sharp, but
it'll be smaller.
And I'm gonna have to blow it up, so it may be pixelated or whatever. But I'll deal with that then. Again, that's the thing. We were rushing, so I couldn't.
Put it
look
inside
at that.
of a comic book.
Yeah,
frame.
we could do that.
Yeah, make it a little smaller. Put it in a comic book frame.
So, what was it like with Mr. Adams?
Wow.
Because I remember the breaking point. Once we got to the breaking point with Adams, it's like, oh, it's all downhill from here.
Yeah.
No spoilers on that. I'll let you build up to that one.
Well, first, he was giving us telling us we weren't being professional, and that, and the other thing is that we were talking about Jon Stewart. I was saying that there weren't a lot of minority superheroes or characters that, or even brown characters in comic books when I was a kid, and he was saying that I wasn't brown, but I was brownish.
Brownish. You were the color. You were the color of this freckle, I believe. He was like comparing. He was color coding you to his freckles.
He was not buying that I had any ethnicity to me at all. He was like, no, I'm revoking your ethnic card. You're not brown enough to be brown.
He's another person. Is like, you're here with their wig on, and
yeah. He accused me of wearing a wig at one point, which had nothing to do with ethnicity, but I think he thought my character was more of a put on.
You get that all the time, though.
Yeah, I think the glasses and the goatee and all that is like, when I'm off duty, I don't have any of that. It's like I always have the bangs, I always have the glasses, the facial hair is my facial hair. I don't like just put it on a dummy, take it off and put it on a styrofoam head.
New Mr. Lobo does. We're just gonna have a dummy with the bits.
And I like wearing jackets and ties. I've been wearing jackets and ties since high school, so it's not anything that I do just for this character of Mr. Lobo. There's not a whole lot of difference between obviously now you're hearing a more casual version of myself on the podcast, which is my, I guess, regular Mr. Lobo, but there isn't.
Or is it Alan Smithy?
Or is it Alan Smithy? Or is it a wholly different Mr. Lobo, all the various clones and versions of Mr. Lobo? Because I actually, with the character Mr. Lobo, and I don't know if I'm bipolar or if I've got multiple personality, but I feel like I have varying grades of that character. It's like sometimes it's, you're not dreaming, you're watching, it's very, there's Gary Owens almost, and then sometimes it's more of just hapless nerd, and there's a lot of different scale. There's a big scale with that character, but it's really a lot of I'm really making fun of myself and my attitudes about things, and a lot of those qualities that character has are just my own qualities that I'm exaggerating or making fun of. Anyway, but yeah, Neil Adams was okay, let's go. What's the next question? Next question.
Hold up. This guy wants an autograph. And we got to stop. Marilyn, where the fuck are you, Marilyn?
Yeah, man, I feel bad for his handler or wife. I guess it's
that was
his
his wife. Yeah.
I ended up wanting to befriend her because she had the hardest job in the whole place, keeping him happy. People are there to talk to him. And, that is something that I would give advice to people. If you're with someone and you know that their spouse is their handler,
the gatekeeper,
give that spouse some attention. Give that spouse a little sunshine. Give that handler a little attention or a little appreciation, because that is going to make, your connection to that person a lot easier. Because if the wife or the handler doesn't like you, you're in trouble.
Right.
You're out.
Right.
So, but anyhow, Marilyn was helping customers with
right. Marilyn had to give up her seat so you could sit down. And then he was upset because she wasn't nearby,
there.
Even though she was nearby.
She was nearby, but
she was working. She was working with other customers, and she wasn't attending to the customer that was right in front of him, and he was yelling for her to attend to this.
And then she gave up her seat so that I could sit with him and do the interview. So yeah, she was getting it in both from both sides.
Yeah,
it was like it's like, get out of here so he can sit down, and they're like, where are you? So it was just ridiculous. But anyhow, at a certain point, he was
getting tough with because you weren't asking direct enough questions. You were kind of building it up like you do, and he's just like, I just want just give me direct questions. Just give me direct questions. Even at one point, he's like, God damn it! I want you to give me a direct. Give me just ask what you want to ask. Ask about Jon Stewart. Ask about Batman. Ask about he got that right. And the breaking point was, you don't ask your question.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to tickle you.
Right.
And it was, I'm going to have to, and we're all waiting. You're like, what's he going to say next?
Yeah.
Tickle you.
Yeah.
And Mr. Lobo goes, well, all right, and throws his hands up, and he tickles him, and it's like, well, we got him. Yeah. If he's going to do this, we got him.
I just throw my arms up. I'm like, all right, tickle me. And so Neil Adams, this gruff Archie Bunker comic book creator guy, just starts tickling me, and I laugh, and he laughs. And from that point, that was kind of like, I guess a bonding sort of moment there. Yeah. It went easier. But what I was trying to explain to him is that, the kind of interview I want to do is, I don't want you to just regurgitate the answers to the questions that you do for everyone else.
Right.
I want to get into a conversation with you and perhaps get a little bit of an idea of your personality. And you trying to tickle me gets me there so much faster.
Right. And I think his thing was that we're here. The reason why he doesn't want to do the interview with the reason why he's tough on us on when we do the interviews is like, these guys are just going to come and they're going to ask me the same questions, and I don't really want to give up my time. So if I give them this window and stuff like that, they're not going to make that window. Or I'm going to make this tough for them, and they're not going to make it.
Yeah.
And when he saw that we were dedicated, we were back, and we were back, and we were back, and I don't know if he remembered me from before, and we were back from that thing where it's like, let's just do this thing.
And, by the time, I think the rest of the interview went well. We got a little bit of a rapport. And then usually when I do interviews, that's like the main thing, is to try to get a rapport and to try to get into a conversation with them.
He got funny. He got funny with his explanations and stuff like that. And then his answers became less short and more stories.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, come on, we only have 5 minutes. We got to get out of here. And then he's telling us about how Batman was created. And he's telling us about how Jon Stewart. And these are not short stories.
No, they're not.
And they're really entailed and
we
very
got
funny.
Funny, heartfelt, layered, juicy material with him. And then it ended so well that I ended up buying coffee for him in Maryland.
And I think we surprised him with that too.
And,
where it's like, what?
Where it's like, look,
what?
we took a little bit of your time away. Here's some coffee so that you don't have to go across the room and get coffee.
Right.
And
or send your kids or whatever.
Yeah, right.
Because they were running the booth.
I felt like Marilyn was going to be the one getting him coffee.
Maybe.
So I felt like bringing her and him coffee was a good way to circumvent that.
Right.
It ended well. Is it almost break time?
Well, we already plowed through break time, and we were. So I just went through the full end. So we're actually at the end of the whole podcast.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what? My bladder's going to explode again.
Does that sound like a note to end on?
I think it's a good note to end on. When you go to conventions, remember they're people. They have good days, they have bad days.
Buy them coffee.
Be nice to the handlers, and we will see you next time on the Sleepless Nights of Insomnia.
And he's out of here. Hurry.
You have been listening to the Sleepless Nights podcast, or should we say pODDcast.
pODDcast.
Emphasis on the odd. Our theme is by Mars Homeworld at Deadhouse Music. Our opening announcement is by Ophelia Necro. She does a radio show called Suicide Watch. And you could reach Mr. Lobo at cinemainsomnia.com, or find me on YouTube, YouTube/Mr. Lobo, MisterLobo. Mr. Lobo on Facebook, Facebook/Mr.Lobo, or on Twitter, at Mr. Lobo, MisterLobo.
Or you can find myself, Paul Sanders, or better known as Bestow TV, at Bestow.tv. On YouTube /Bestow TV, on Twitter at Bestow Prod, PROD, and on Facebook, Bestow TV.
If you want to place an advertisement with this podcast, and gosh, why wouldn't you? We could be talking about you right now. Contact us, Mr. Lobo at cinemainsomnia.com. That's MRLOBO @CINEMAINSOMNIA.com. Or support us on Patreon. Patreon supporters get to hear this podcast before anyone else, and a lot of other great stuff, right, Paul?
Sure.
Doesn't get it better than that, right? So come join the fun at patreon.com/cinemainsomnia. That's patreon.com/cinemainsomnia. Please stay up with us next week for another Sleepless Nights podcast. Or should we say, pODDcast.
pODDcast.
The best thing about being an insomniac is never having to say goodnight.
Good night.